All right. Good morning. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being here. I'm just going to let you start talking about you and your business. We're so excited to learn about the business you have of senior placement and working with us other seniors, real estate professionals, and professionals in the senior care community. So we'll go.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here, Julie. We talked about it, kind of came out of nowhere, but I was really excited to connect with you because what you guys do as senior real estate specialist is important. And I find that one of the biggest barriers for you guys is that everybody thinks that what you guys do is the same thing as the neighbor's son who decided to become a real estate agent, and it's like, no, there's a reason why there's a special designation for that. And especially with our seniors, it's they need to be handheld through this process, right? These are not people that are just moving from a home or buying another home or whatever, making a transition because it's that earlier in life change in life. These are people that have oftentimes lived in their homes for many, many years. So it's not just about the physical structure of leaving it, it's about all the memories. It's about deciding what you're going to be able to take with you to fit in a one bedroom apartment into a community. It is emotional, right? And so I think that it does take people like you that has an understanding of the other healthcare players, but the emotional aspect to this, it's a different approach. So I have a military background. I joined the Army National Guard technically in December of 2000, but went to basic training in January of 2001. I was in military college, went back to military college after my 7 weeks at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Was there for a bit, and then 9/11 happened. So it took me 10 years to get my degree. I finally did it, but I was pulled in and out of school, in and out of school. Looking back, I can see now I learned a lot, right? You mature a lot. I learned a lot how to, get along with a lot of different types of people. Then I worked. I worked full time for the military, the National Guard, and eventually found myself in California and got into sales. So I was selling for Barnes Distribution in the Central Valley, bearings, belts, chains, nuts, bolts. Like if you can picture me doing that to these farms and manufacturing plants, it was a job. And then motion industries. So just to give you guys some context of, the things I did before I fell into senior care. So then I moved to San Diego. I sold advertising, I sold payroll, and you can meet numbers, but there was just a lack of meaning. I had around the same time decided to get out of the military, and much like you guys will hear about veterans, there's a loss of identity. It's kind of this feeling of emptiness of who am I now. So, I was plugging along, and this estate planning attorney I know sent me the first job posting for a caregiving agency. And because he knew the owner, right, she decided to take a chance on me. I had no experience, never in my life pictured working in senior care. But what I realized is that it was an industry, it was a job where I could make enough money to survive in Southern California and take care of my child, but it had a deeper meaning to it, right? And the meaning is we have a responsibility to take care of our nation's elders. Good, bad, or indifferent, they laid the foundation for the lives that we live today, right? And it's not, have any of you guys dealt with family dynamics?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, every day.
Yeah. Yep. I figured, right? Home care, on the home care side, we always just assume we're the only ones dealing with that. No, family dynamics have existed for many, many years before any of us ever get involved. So, what I learned is that we have to be professional and we have to do our job. And there's certain situations where it's not on us to judge why the adult daughter feels the way that she does about her father. And I used to kind of like project my own feelings onto those things, but my first boss said, we don't know. We don't know what her life was growing up. We don't know these things. And so being able to show up, do our job, properly advise, properly advocate, whether you're a senior real estate specialist or you're a home care professional or you're a placement agent. Now, part of properly advising and advocating means that we understand who the other players are. It means that we don't operate in the silo of specifically what our job profession is, right? So for me, as back in the day when I worked directly for a caregiving agency, it was important for me to understand, what is a senior real estate specialist? What do they do? What is a placement professional? What do they do? How do I identify when to bring in a senior real estate specialist? How do I identify when somebody is not sustainable for them to stay in their home because the amount of care they need, right? You have to increase hours, which increases the cost. It's not going to be sustainable sometimes. So what are the two people that I need to bring in that situation? I need to connect them with a placement professional to start doing the research and identify which community, which board and care. But the other player I have to bring in is the senior real estate agent, because if we're going to sell the house, right, you guys will handle that. So that's why we have to understand what we all do. We don't have to be an expert in it, but we have to understand what each other does. And the biggest thing is how to identify when it's time to refer and not try to do it ourselves. Okay. So home care, got into home care. I'm a salesperson at the end of the day. I was out in the San Diego market building relationships. My niche is legal financial referral sources. I did diversify, and then I started calling on hospitals and doctors and skilled nursing facilities, home health, hospice, senior living communities. I consider that the healthcare ecosystem. So in my mind, we have 3 buckets of referral sources. And I think this would probably be applicable to you guys too for getting business. We've got 3 buckets. We have the healthcare bucket, and that's all the ones I just listed: home health, hospice, all the senior living communities, skilled nursing, rehabs, hospitals, care managers, placement professionals. And then we have our legal financial bucket: estate and trust attorneys, elder law attorneys, probate attorneys, trust litigators, CPAs, financial advisors, financial planners, wealth managers. Does anybody have a guess to why I don't just say financial planner? Why I list out all the different levels: financial advisor, financial planner, and wealth manager?
Yeah, they're all different.
They are. So if
Yeah.
I want to prioritize my efforts, and if I'm trying to find people who have the money to afford private care, I'm definitely going to be targeting the wealth managers first. I don't know if that type of prioritizing would be the same for you guys. I mean, I can see maybe where it would be, like if you wanted to target people that had like really, really big houses that maybe would sell for more. So the likelihood of a wealth manager having that type of client with that, but I don't know. That's beyond my scope as it relates to you guys. So we have our legal financial bucket: CPAs, corporate trust officers, private fiduciaries. And then we have our community resources, right? Alzheimer's Association, Parkinson's Association, ALS Foundation. Now, you really want a diversification in those referral sources, okay? So the likelihood, if you guys were to get a referral from the legal financial people, the people that work with those legal financial people tend to own their homes. Not saying that the referrals we get from the healthcare ecosystem, there won't be some that own their homes, but there's going to be a much higher percentage of people that are renting, that are in low income senior housing, right? So your targets for referrals, I would think, would be the legal financial. So anyway, worked in home care, and then I decided to start my business. So the LLC is Connect Our Elders. And what I realized over the years of doing business development, advising families, is that oftentimes they don't need just one resource. They need multiple resources. And how do we work together to create this mosaic of support around them and do it in a proactive way? So for instance, Julie, if I'm in your market and I get a referral and I'm doing my 6-step discovery process to figure out what the needs are, if I recognize right in the beginning, the interim solution is definitely caregiving in the home because mom is discharging and we need to make sure she's safe and has quality of life, but this is not going to be a sustainable solution, I would proactively say, looking to the future, right? We have to help the family have a plan so that way they're not operating in crisis. I would immediately say, I'm going to introduce you to my friend that does placement, and here's what they do. They will help you identify the appropriate community. And I'm also going to introduce you to Julie, who's a senior real estate specialist, because it's really important that for your mom, we don't deal with just a regular real estate agent. The senior real estate specialist understands the nuances of these specific situations and then form a team of advisors around the senior right in the beginning. So that way they can start to form that relationship. So connector elders, I get referrals from across the country, and it's just people that want to understand what their options are. They want to, by the time somebody is reaching out for help, anything senior care related, it's not that they've been struggling for just a day, even a month. They have often been struggling for years, right? It's just the pain has gotten to be a lot now, and pain is a motivator, and now they've got no option. Now they have to do something. So people get sent to me, or they find me on social media, or through my network that I've built over the years, and they say, my mom, right? I don't know what to do, right? Or a wealth manager in Orange County just recently sent a couple of referrals. One of his clients, and the other referral, his own parents. Okay. Diagnosis of dementia. The well spouse was the caregiver, but in one situation, the well spouse got diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. He's probably not going to be able to be the caregiver for much longer. The other situation, the wife was the caregiver, but she fell and now has a concussion. So what are we going to do? So one of the situations, it will be sustainable for 24/7 care in the home for an extended period of time, because I know the financial picture and they don't want to leave their home and they can stay. The other one, not the same financial picture. So we're going to put care in place. We're going to get them enrolled in the VA and get the VA homemaker service. So we have a solution, but eventually they're probably going to have to sell their home. And the surviving spouse that has dementia is more than likely probably going to go into a boarding care. Okay. So that's what Connector Elders does. I listen, tell me the situation, what is going on. And it starts with establish an emotional connection, validate their experience. I just want you to know the fact that you've reached out today, you are a good daughter. I don't know the last time you heard that, but I want you to know that you're doing the best that you could possibly know how. This is not easy, right? I'm glad you called today, because from the moment we've connected, I will be your advocate every step of the way, no matter what you need. You need a real estate agent? I got you. Maybe we can proactively get you some home health for physical therapy. Now we want to look at community options. Oh, by the way, do you have an estate plan? Do you have a trust? Because in California, you absolutely must. Because here's what it looks like if you don't, right? So it's very advisory, and there's no reason why you guys couldn't do this either. Like, if you understand the players and how it all works together. So for you guys, so Connector Elders, I don't do the placement directly because there's people that are experts in that already. It's what they do full time. Plus, I didn't have the time to go and tour people. So if I have a referral and they need caregiving services, I will refer to a caregiving agency. It's monetized because I have basically an agreement in place. I don't do a one-off referral fee. I get 5% of the revenue paid every single month, month after month. I build a book of business just like a financial planner does with assets under management, but it's considered hours under management. You guys could do the same thing, as far as I know. So when I refer to a placement professional, I tee it up, I pre-sell it, I make one solid recommendation, I connect them with the placement person. The way that's monetized is whatever that placement person gets from the community that the senior moves into, I get 50% of what they got from the community. So let's say, and usually they'll do first month's rent. That's how they monetize it. They'll try for first month's rent. Sometimes it ends up at 75%. It depends on the placement professional, but let's just say first month's rent is $5,000. You could get 2,500 of that, but you're not actually doing any of the labor. You're not actually doing the research. You're not going out and touring. It's just you have sent them a referral that closes. So And then of course you can't monetize if you refer to hospice or home health or to attorneys or, financial advisors. You can't do that. If you wanted to get your insurance license, if you did send business to, let's say, long-term care insurance or anything like that, you could, but the people we're dealing with are not going to qualify for LTCI anyway, so it's a moot point. That's what Connect Our Elders does. What happened from that is I started teaching the Senior Care Sales Solutions Academy, and that's where I'm teaching people, and I've had senior real estate specialists in the academy. It's a 2-day, all things marketing, business development, sales to get clients. There's a virtual option too. It's all the same thing, broken into 4-hour sessions. It's not just me. I bring in subject matter experts. I bring in referral source types to provide some education too. Because I could teach the students, but I figure it's better for the students to hear straight from the horse's mouth, right? How do you partner with a care manager? What is the best way to partner with hospice, home health, attorney, whatever it is? And then I do a lot of ongoing coaching with home care agencies across the United States, driving their sales. And that is everything that I do.
Sarah, what was that third bucket? How did you label that?
We have our healthcare ecosystem bucket.
Mhm.
We have our legal financial bucket. And then we have our community resources bucket. And I can send an email to Julie that has it all listed out.
Okay.
Mhm. Where do you guys get most of your referrals from?
Well, right now I'm on ABC on the news. On Tuesdays, I got a lead immediately after leaving the station today. So that was nice. Today was our 9th day on. And so we're trying to figure out the right verbiage. So I just found you on Facebook. I'll find you on LinkedIn. But I'd love to connect with you so we can explore this a little bit more, because I'm doing a lot of experimenting and I'm trying to figure out the right messaging that will make the phone ring.
Okay.
Because ABC feels like I should be very successful with it. But I think, it's just, I've been in real estate my whole life and trying to tweak it. And I've been on PBS for 6 years. And there I'm the interviewer instead of the interviewee. And I am doing educational topics. And so having a call to action opportunity is very, very different. So I think there's a rare opportunity, Sarah, for you and I to compare notes and see what we can figure out.
One of my favorite things to do in life is to craft messaging. I don't know how it happened, but it's teaching and messaging. It's where I feel full. So I would
Well,
love.
maybe we can do some trading and help each other out, because I've got a lot of things figured out, but I think crafting the messaging is really important. And what I'm doing is we're trying to even separate ourselves from just SRES, because there's so many SRES agents that aren't specialists like the people on this call. They went and got their 2-day CE, and then they want to tell people that they're specialists when they really are not. Because you can see how few people are plugging in and trying to learn more. So Julie always finds such good people. So a group of us are calling ourselves senior home coach and differentiating. And we're going to have a conference in Tampa in April. So I'm trying to figure out, how do I get that message out to placement professionals, senior real estate specialists that are really serious about this, and also senior move managers, and trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Now, how often do you refer to senior move managers or get involved in that part of it?
So I would say about once a month. It depends. So all the academies and the coaching stuff, it grew and it became a priority. So now for just the sake of time, sometimes when these referrals are coming in, I'm trusting my partners. Like Julie Derry is a placement person. I'll be like, Julie, here's the basic stuff. Can you call her? So she could be sending it out to senior move managers, right? Because I just haven't had the capacity to be as involved as I was.
Yeah.
I would imagine that you guys, when these seniors want to sell their homes, who are they first notifying?
Whoever. I mean, in my opinion, seniors and their families aren't looking for a specialist. That when it falls into placement and they're urgent crisis, that they don't think the real estate agent matters and they just list it with anybody. And then what I see is that most people in the healthcare realm don't realize how important that real estate component of it is. And they're just like, okay, they have their own realtor or the family's handling that. And so there's a huge disconnect. I went to the CSA conference in Arizona last summer, and like I was shocked at the placement professionals that think that they don't have any business being involved in the real estate part of it. And they're just kind of at the mercy of whenever the house sells and the money becomes available. And they don't realize like how incompetent most real estate licensees are. And they are completely in the dark in terms of how good of a real estate licensee do they have? How well did they price their home? How well is the realtor able to communicate with them? Who's helping in the decision-making process? And so you have a lot of people that aren't making good decisions and they're completely on their own. And I think it's a real disconnect in the continuum of care.
It's
And
another
this is one of the, well, I was just gonna say, because this is one of the paths that we've endeavored to create more of a communication in my local market is with the senior care communities and the people involved in senior care, such as caregiving agencies. And so I started this a couple of years ago already, just me, myself, and I, little old me, having a different conversation with all these entities, all these care providers, and they look at you, because the first thing we learned is you can't say you're a realtor because that just sets the tone, like goodbye. So I've been endeavoring to teach the community. We're seniors real estate specialists, and this is what we do, and this is why we do it. And it's a huge boulder, but we are making traction on it. And this is part of that. And that's what attracted me. Your systems lend itself really well to what it is that we're trying to do. And what we're doing with Catherine, like with your 20 is plenty. Like it all can be integrated.
So it's the story about the CSA conference and what you're saying. It does matter to work with somebody like you guys, right? Because it is a traumatic experience for senior. As I said earlier, this is not somebody just moving and upsizing and selling a house because they had a baby. This is somebody that's been in their home for a really long time. This is a traumatizing experience for the senior for so many reasons, right? Facing their own mortality, declining, spouse died, friends are dying, now they have to leave their home of comfort and memories. So there's that. But it has a direct correlation to the amount of potential care they could receive, because you need to work with somebody who can properly advise on the sale of the house to make sure that we sell for the amount of money, the most amount of money possible, which then translates into the amount of care that they can afford for the length of time. Right? Because do these senior living communities just want to be like, well, they'll handle the sale of the house, and then they get like significantly less than what they could. Now, all of a sudden, that resident that moves into senior living, they find themselves, because they live longer than what anybody expected, and now they're struggling to pay the rent. That's not good.
Yeah. I just think that there's just too much trust in these different bucket areas that the real estate's just going to get handled. They don't understand, like, in order to sell it for the highest reward the market will bring and in a reasonable amount of time, it's really important that we don't stay in our individual silos and work on all this together. And then Sarah, I'm wondering too, you participate in like home care referrals and that ongoing revenue. You participate in the placement. Do you participate in the real estate?
I don't, because legally, I as far as I know, I've had friends of mine that do the real estate say, hey, if you get licensed, then we can certainly give you a fee. I've never taken the time to get licensed.
You can make more money doing that. And I hear that a lot from senior move managers that are giving away millions of dollars worth of real estate in hopes that somebody's going to like them and refer them business, to which they have a very low margin. Placement people are leaving tons of money on the table. The biggest bucket by far is real estate. The second is placement. That's it, and that's all. And so
Yeah.
you could charge, 25 to 30% or more. Relocation companies charge even more than that. And to get a real estate license is a lot easier than you crafting these messages.
How
And
do I do that?
yeah,
Oh,
so
we'll set you up. We'll set you up, Sarah.
yeah,
We'll set you up. Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of it too, because I mean, let's say I get tired of, I mean, I love what I do, but let's just say eventually I get tired of all the coaching and all that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I need to change. If I already have the license, then, it's a skill, right? But I like what you're saying too, because now I can actually monetize that side of Connector Elders.
Yeah.
Well, and referral business is an actual business within real estate.
100%.
Yeah.
like Zillow. You've heard of Zillow, that's all it is.
Yes.
And so it's like a place for mom, only it's for real estate. And so the real estate leads that are being left on the table are worth a lot of money. And that's why I'm thinking you and I should talk, and we could probably help each other quite a bit.
Definitely. Let's do that. I like what you said, Julie. It is a legit business, because if you think about it, it's not just a referral. You could consider Connector Elders a marketing agency, right?
Yeah.
And people are willing to pay that commission and pay the referral fee because they're not having to pay any overhead for me, right? And I pre-sell it. I make one solid recommendation. I don't give a list. It's like, what are your needs? Where are you located? The particulars of the situation. I'm connecting you with one person, because that's what these families need. If you give them a list and multiple people, it's adding to their overwhelm and their stress.
It's lead gen. We do lead gen every day.
Well, I talked to a lady earlier today, and she wanted to know what moving truck company we use. And then she thinks, okay, she's got the answer, not realizing how complex it all is. So sometimes if they think they have the answer, they're just going to go off and do it their own. And it's just going to be, one more, way more headache than what they realize.
Is there any way you guys think you could train? So for example, let's say an assisted living community, and they have
Mhm.
people touring all the time. Can you train the referral source right from that moment, the sales and marketing director, to say, I'm not sure if you need this resource yet or not, but in case you do at some point, I wanted to share this lady, Julie, I wanted to give you her information, because if you do want to sell your house at some point, it is important to work with somebody that has the designation of SRES. Like, train them from the beginning.
That is the script. That is the script, and that's the script I've been endeavoring to educate my local communities on, and getting ground on that. So, but having it be consistent industry wide, like we're trying to spread the word so that my group of what we're doing here in Silicon Valley is consistent with what Mark's doing in Florida, or Mickelin's doing in Alameda County. It's kind of like that.
Okay.
So, and that's one of the things where we're elevating the whole SRES into national consistency. So we're all on the same page. And when any one of us walks into an ED or a sales and marketing department or a care, I have 6 care agencies in this building that I'm in right here. I walk in, I have my script down, I have the understanding, and they have the exact understanding of who I am and what I do. This is what I talk about all day long. Ask Bob in my own building. So, but bringing it to everybody and getting consistency, and that, so when an ED, especially EDs in sales and marketing departments, they're changing people all the time.
All the time. They have
All
so
the
much-
time. And so the different flags, right? So once I got, I get the watermark trained, oops, it's a whole new set of people.
Yeah.
Those people may have come from Morningstar. Oh, good, because I knew them when they were at Morningstar. So that's good, right? It's all
Yeah.
of
What about the financial planners and the wealth managers?
yeah.
Well,
when they really understand the value that we can do, they get it. I think they get it a lot easier than senior living communities because, that's oftentimes revolving doors. They're
Yeah.
very concerned about, giving them a referral to a moving truck company. Maybe in some areas, they're a little more inclined to understand move management and bring in a senior move manager. But to me, it just seems like they're trying so hard to sell their community and get the people moved in that it's very difficult for them to have any kind of desire to be involved in the real estate part of it.
Yeah,
I've
but
been
then
reading,
how
okay, so let me
increase-
introduce myself.
Yeah,
Next
well,
to
he's-
Julie here.
he's a financial
I'm
planner.
I am a certified financial planner. I'm housed here at Bunker, and this has been an ongoing discussion. And we're trying to offer financial planning as part of the listing service to the realtors. So that, so when they, I talk to the Bunker folks, when they're competing with Compass or the other brands of realtors, if you get 2 hours with a CFP as part of, because most of the real estate guys have a moving company, a staging company, and it's not just what you sell it for, but how much you keep.
And what
so
are you going to do
our
with that money,
transition-
especially later
part
in
of our
life?
transaction is to say, look, even though you got this $2 million check coming through your hands, wouldn't it make sense to have at least an unbiased, and even if they've already got an account at Schwab or Wells Fargo, we're offering it as a service, as part of you're paying this, you're going to have an $80,000 commission check coming out of this house. So shouldn't it include all these services, including the CFP? As part of, and we're trying to experiment, we're certainly glad to do that. And the second thing we're finding in long-term care is that even with the seniors, it's their children that you reach out to and say, what my most recent 2 clients have been, what of the experience that you had with your parents do you not want to experience?
Yeah.
So what have you learned from this bad experience that you just went through that we can maybe help you through?
That you need to save more because it's expensive.
Right. And as far as of all the different groups you work with, ours is probably the easiest to do some sort of revenue sharing. What I would tell all the advisors is this: let us do the work and you get the pay. It's as simple as that. Because if you have the insurance license, you don't have to, we do the work. Because we understand, real estate way better than us, but we understand the long-term care, the living insurance, investments, how it's supposed to fit in. And we can charge by the hour, we can charge by, we can share, and we're the only group that can do that. And so that
It's
makes
a fee-based plan.
we do a lot of fee-based.
Okay.
So I can charge by the hour. So basically what happens at Bunker is that they're going to get us 2 hours, which roughly is about a $250 an hour charge. So it's part of their listing service. So they're going to pay me, $400 out of their commission to do all this work for them.
I love this idea.
Yeah, we do.
So
we do that, yeah.
And you see, and when they went out in competition with all their other real estate guys, say, we want to list your house. Besides, we're a specialist in, to prove we're specializing in senior care, is that this is the different element to the sale that just the Joe salesman other guys just talking about his moving company, his moving van, or a staging company. But to add the sort of financial planner to it is really how you make it the senior specialty effect. And since we work under a fiduciary model, which we're the only group within that has to, as part of our agreement, is fiduciary, that also puts an element of safety because, a smart client will say to me, well, Bob, the problem I've got with with other people in the industry is, suppose I went and saw a doctor and I said, doctor, with all this care, how much is it going to cost me? And the doctor responds, oh, it's free. I'll just be reimbursed by the drugs I charge you. Can you imagine what kind of doctor that would be? I mean, that would be horrible. So I mean, so we say, look, doesn't it make sense to $500, $1,000 to figure out how to save $50,000 that going through your hands? Because I can demonstrate, reduce the taxes, work with the negotiating things. And for the real estate guy, they get an extra sale or an extra listing because that's
And
trying to sell.
project it out. So this is where financial planner, senior real estate specialist, and the placement professional comes into play, right? Because they need to make, if they're doing it right and they're ethical, they want this move to senior living to be sustainable. So part of this, right, right? You bring involved, sell the house, financial planner is looking at the money, reducing the taxes. How are we going to handle this money, right? In the most advantageous way for the senior and the family. Part of that is like, how long will this money
Right.
last? Because that directly affects how long can this person stay in this senior living community? How much does it cost? And then as they decline, are they going to have to start paying for incontinence care and for medication management, maybe things that they're not first paying in? So there's projections that have to happen around this
Yeah.
stuff.
What the trend in our industry is that, so I carry 3 designations, CFP, which is the most commonly known, but the growing one is the RICP, which is the specialist in retirement planning, because the issue there is that whenever we have a new client, we talk about the 15 risks we know you're going to face in retirement. And that's one of you're talking about, how long are you going to live? Laws change. I mean, you've got a long list of we do. And so that's part of that fee. And if the real estate person puts that in right away in the beginning, it can help them with their listing. And we can, and then any fees, I mean, we have to then at that point, then it's a fiduciary model. The customer knows exactly, you know, how they're going to, and the licenses can be shared, or referrals fees can be changed back to the real estate person. It works out well, or to a broker working with the, you know, long-term care facility or something, because we know that that's the issue, is that how do you handle this ginormous cash flow and not run out before you're dead, you know? And so
Yeah, I really have a feeling that you guys are going to see your profession grow and grow, or you guys are going to have more and
well,
more.
we have a problem in our
come
industry
in.
that you have in the real estate industry too, is that we have a lot of shysters in our business.
Yeah.
And the transition from being commission-based to hourly fee-based has, you know, it's caused problems in our industry. At some point, I'm sure it'll bother the real estate industry, but it certainly hit ours earlier.
Well, we got our own problems.
But we got a lot, but we do have a lot of shysters, and so all you can do there is you just do the best. Julie can attest or not attest for my quality of, you know, my ethics and so forth. But you have to go through it, but I would recommend, if you deal with any now advisor, they have the 3rd degree, which is the AIF, which is a fiduciary requirement.
Right.
So that I carry $5 million worth of air and emissions insurance, so that if I, you know, mess it up, you know, you got something to do. And, you know, and being a fiduciary standard in financial planning is really a pain in the butt, because, I mean, we really work through, I mean, because I have to tell people, this is a process that I have to follow through, and I have to ask tough questions. I got to do it the right way. I know that, and because I don't want, you know, we have to do it slow but thorough to do this job right for you. So,
Well, and that's why I say, like, when we're building relationships, I'm not naysaying a financial advisor, but there's a difference between a financial advisor that's 26, just starting out at Northwestern Mutual,
right.
and somebody like you.
And it's our primary industry, you're right, you know, and ironically, 30 years ago, I did start at Northwestern. So it's, and I will tell you, I mean, tremendous training
Great training.
in life insurance. So as I tell people, I'm a money doctor, and the products are drugs. And that's just why we do the example of, you know, that we have to examine you first before we would recommend any type of drug. So
You can't make professional recommendations without first understanding what the situation is. Of course not.
you'd think that would be a no-brainer, but that's unfortunately not the way it is. And so, yeah.
But I see on the horizon that you guys are going to be getting more and more business if we can shift the thinking to, it is important to work with the senior real estate specialist, not just a
And that's what Julie and I are trying to figure that out.
So
it's becoming less and less sustainable for people to age at home, because the cost of care, like 24/7 care in San Diego, $27,000 a month. Even if somebody is wealthy, how long does $5 million last if it's a diagnosis of dementia, but they're physically fine and you're paying $27,000 a month? How long does that last?
Yeah,
Mhm.
not long.
So I
Yeah,
think more and more people we're going to be moving towards the senior living community option, the boarding cares, because it's just becoming out of reach to stay at home all the way till the end.
Yeah.
so the other, and connecting all of that with what you have with your senior sales academy and that particular business model and platform, I the little bit that I've learned so far, I thought that would be a really good opportunity for us to be able to integrate into what we do as well.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, you guys could do that. I mean, if you guys are busy doing the real estate piece, it could be difficult for you to be doing the research, identifying the right community base. You can put the contracts in place. That should be easy with the communities, or do it the way I do it. Partner with your placement people and have an agreement with them. And when you refer to them, they give you 50% of what they get from the community.
So, we'd love to learn more about that and how you have, I know you had a live virtual, is it this week?
So I'm in the academy, the virtual one. I've done 2 sessions of this class. The 3rd session is this Thursday, the last one, but I have another class that's launching in February. So I can send.
Who are your students usually?
It's designed for caregiving agency owners and business developers, aging life care managers, otherwise known as geriatric care managers,
Mhm.
placement professionals, senior living advisors, right? Same thing. And I've had senior real estate specialists, and then I've started having home health and hospice and senior living communities asking, if it would be worth them attending, because we all have the same referral sources.
Yeah, that's the thing that, when you were saying you didn't know if we'd have time, like if we're throwing all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak, the prospects that we're coming up with a lot of times do need the placement and the move management and the real estate, all of it.
So where the time would be is not on the time to do business development, because you're already doing that, right? To get
Right.
state
Yeah.
referrals. It's just now you become a more holistic
Yeah.
resource.
The
Where
other
I could
thing-
see the drain of time is if you identify, right, you do your assessment of the senior for the placement, and then you narrow it down to, let's say, 3 to 4 communities. Do you have the time to go with them and be at the tour at the community with them? You might, because maybe now you're building your relationship even more with the community by being there and touring, which then makes them refer. But that would just be something that you'd have to figure
That
out.
each individual agent would need to think about, but I think the ones that are working with me, they do. But some of them, they just want to do the real estate. That's true. But some of them, you're building all these relationships anyway, and you do want to know the inventory, because you also are working those relationships to hopefully get the real estate referrals as well.
the
Yeah.
other-
Go ahead.
One other thing I've learned, and this is a sensitive subject, but this industry also has a very wide spread of how they compensate their people. One of the problems they're having in long-term care is some of the actual doers, the workers, are grossly underpaid in many ways compared to the work they're doing. And even today, they were commenting, geriatric medical professionals are underpaid by a third over non-geriatric, which is sad. I mean, so they were saying this was in the Mercury News today, that the average surgeon would be making 350,000 a year, but the geriatric would make 210,000. So why would they spend all that time in college learning that? And so one of the things I've learned when I'm interviewing people that I recommend, I do not recommend anymore hardly the franchised healthcare people, because they are literally, their business model is such that they keep half to 3/4 of the actual fee and not give it to the real workers. And it's the real workers, the people who are helping you, or you want to make sure that are getting the compensation, as opposed to the people that are just, but they call the managers of the managers of the managers, that, or franchise owners of these things, which really don't really add value to the issue of it, but they take money away from it. So it's a sensitive subject, but we ought to be lobbying too for helping, making sure the people doing the work get the compensation, as opposed to people who just, it's like I describe it as, which do you prefer, an overpriced pretty restaurant, or do you feel happy when you find that hole in the wall that gave you great service, and good food?
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. So the price of caregiving has gone up drastically year after year since COVID. And I agree with you. And I've pulled a caregiver shift before when somebody's called off on one of my clients. It's not easy. Like
Yeah.
it's not me. I could not be a caregiver day in and day out. It takes a special person, and they don't get paid a whole lot. The
But
other side to this is that these agencies, minimum wage across the country, minimum wage going up. And not only that, right? Agencies have had to increase the cost of their care to the consumer in order to have more money to be able to pay the caregivers, to attract the good caregivers that stay and do a good job.
mhm,
And so the consumer, we can look at it and be like, wow, I can't believe this agency is charging $45 an hour, right, for care, which is, when I started in 2012, it was $25 an hour in San Diego. It's now, for a good agency, 45, right? Huge increase. So the outsider can look at it and say, wow, that agency must just be banking,
Yeah.
But the piece that many people are missing, the profit margins really aren't that big. The bulk of that money goes to payroll of the caregivers, which the hourly rate to pay to keep talent and just the sheer minimum wage has increased. All the insurance has come up. All your platforms to run a business has gone up. I'm like, what do you mean Zoom just increased again? I swear
Mhm.
Zoom just increased the cost on me like 6 months ago, right? Like everything is increasing. Their brick and mortar office location, their administrative staff, they got to pay their sales team. So out of $45 an hour, right? How much is actually going back into the business? So anyway, the home care doesn't have like huge wide margins.
There's a question, there's been a disconnect what people think it's worth and what they're willing to pay for it. But that's a
Yeah.
societal problem we're having in America too, period, is that, they want good stuff. They want high wages for themselves, but low wages for others. I mean, that's just a different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
They
it
think-
is. And it's making it more inaccessible because seriously, what percentage of our population is actually independently wealthy? Like what percentage? Not the vast majority. And we get it. Like I think we're saying the same thing. Yes, we do have to pay these people more. If we
Mhm.
don't, they're not going to take their jobs, number one, and we won't have anybody. But what I'm seeing is that it's becoming more and more the haves and the have-nots when it
Yes.
comes to be able to get that private care. Now there are
Yeah.
certain programs that are happening, like in California, there's the CalAIM program, which is basically Medi-Cal turned into this special program, but there's also an expiration date with it. It's only for a set amount of time.
And the gap's widening too.
I think people think, oh, no big deal. I can go get somebody that they're working at Taco Bell or Target and make them a caregiver. But seriously,
That's not going to work.
but yeah, try managing that situation because it's hard enough when you're working with an agency to have caregivers that you like. And the agency has such headaches keeping enough of these caregivers. And like Sarah just said, sometimes the owners are going in to pull a shift. Something really gross happens and they call the owner and she hops out of bed and runs and takes care of it. And so it's a very high risk business and very stressful. And people just don't have any idea, I don't think, how involved it is. And, they're frustrated with the low quality caregivers, but think how frustrated the owners of these agencies are trying to shuffle them all.
The need, there's
Just
not a
gonna-
lack of need, right? If we look at there's not a lack of need.
Yeah.
It's that we have a lack of staff, one,
Yeah.
but then there's the other issue because we're having to attract more staff, keep the staff, we're having to pay more. So it just keeps getting further and further out of reach for people to be able to afford, which is why I think there's going to be more business for you guys because it's not going to be as accessible for people to pay to age at home. They're going to have to sell their home and move to a community where it's a lower price point.
We've been talking a lot about people having a false sense of security, like, oh, we've got 4 hours a day to take care of Pop, but he's not able to save himself in case of a fire. So the other 20 hours, he is in extreme jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the issues that we face are exponential. Obviously, we could go on and on and on about it. The connection that I liked, that I wanted to establish with us is that, Sarah, you have a bit of a farther outreach with in the senior care community already that I thought we would love to bring into what we do as a SRES and start to collaborate on that because because what you do is beneficial to us, and what we do is beneficial to you and your conversation. So that's where I thought the connection would be great. And then with the Seniors Care Sales Academy, you have it in a structure,
Yes.
which
I
is
grew up like a military school.
right.
It's
So
what I do. I could picture, like, if you have a list, Julie, of the cities, the states where all your members are, because I have clients all over. I would love it if like Catherine, wherever you're located, if I have a
Mhm.
client in your market, it would be great for me to do a warm introduction and for you guys to develop a real relationship in your market.
Well,
right?
we have senior home coaches in all 50 states
Okay.
and some in Canada.
yeah,
So-
and that kind of a dynamic is what we're establishing with all of this networking. It's that, and it's a structure to it. We're
Well, and
building
all
a
my
structure.
people-
We're kind of building it from scratch too.
Yeah, we are.
Let's build it together, ladies, because all of my clients and all my students that have gone through the academy, they are instilled with what I call the empowering aging philosophy. They understand that it takes all of us. They understand that, like, it's not just what they do, it's that you have to know what an SRES does. When do you refer to them? How do you tee it
And-
up? How do you identify it? How do you do this? So
I-
we can blend. That would be amazing.
yeah, it would be.
Collaborate,
Yeah, it would be.
teamwork.
I'm frustrated because SRES isn't good enough. Julie has taken this flag and running with it, but SRES it's a 2-day CE class. And so what Julie's talking about is so far beyond SRES.
Yeah, we're elevating it. So SRES is its own platform, and that's sort of our springboard. And always has been. And now, and what we do, especially with me and my group, and my outreach has been an elevation of that.
You guys
So
can all go through the academy. I bring in these subject matter experts, and then now you can say you have the empowering aging credential.
yeah, well, and that's what Senior Home Coach is endeavoring to do. And Catherine's built a structure around that already. So
Mhm.
this is what we're building on. And when I do see structures that like yours, that we can reach out to, because there's so many things that we do in this business and nobody's got any structure for it. So we're having to start it from scratch here. And we're like, oh yeah, well, let's do that. Okay, well, how are we going to implement? Oh my gosh, I don't know. And, and make decisions, because there's only a bazillion opportunities, especially in places. Should I be a broker? Should I buy a franchise? What do I say if I talk to people? What do I say if I talk to families? What do I say if I talk to executive directors? It's so enormous. So
Yeah. And the messaging is different depending on who you're talking to.
it's so different. And operators are different.
Mhm.
I've got so many different properties around here. It's talking about 20 is plenty, but each category, say five of these properties are a certain way. Another 5 is a completely different way. And you have to learn all of that.
It's very
'Cause you
nuanced.
can't walk into one community and think that everybody's on the same page. They're not.
No. And then we layer in people's specific personalities on top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have one phone call I have to make before I have to get into this next meeting. It's one of my clients. I really enjoyed this conversation. I appreciate you letting me share what I do, but I think most of all, I just enjoyed the discussion.
Can I
Well,
make a
we
comment?
appreciate it, and I do want to see about if integrating what you have going here, your structure into what we're doing. This is a good start for that. Oh yeah, look at
Is
that.
that
Oh
you?
yeah. So
That's not me. Is that what you
Okay, because
Yeah.
I just got this today and I thought, okay, so empowering professionals in aging. This is through Home Instead, where they're inviting our senior network to attend this.
I work a lot with home
See?
insteads across the country.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I sent you a message through LinkedIn and Facebook.
Okay.
Julie,
Okay.
thank you.
We're just,
And,
this is just the beginning, Catherine and I. Well, I mean, we're talking about all this all the time. This is just the beginning. So Lynn, real quick, if you have a question before Sarah's gotta go.
I did have a comment, if I could just speak for a second. And I saw a need and I filled it based upon my background and experience. So I apologize. I came in late and I didn't hear all of what Sarah had to say. But some of this I've been doing. I do have, and I talked to Skip, I think a few days ago, about a health and wellness fair that I'm doing at my church. These folks, and Luke, after we did that tour, I asked him about coming to my church and he agreed. So he's going to be the guest speaker. But I always tell my seniors at my church, and most of them are aged in place. They don't need a facility or a community, as I was told. Community is the right word, not facility. But they want to age in place. So Wellbe Care, I think, would be a good fit for them. So he's going to talk about that. And another segue is a certified financial planner that's going to be there, as well as a long-term care broker insurance. He represents I think, yeah, it's Lincoln. And we
Perfect.
already have so
Awesome.
many Q&As
Yeah.
already set up, da, 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 da. So everybody's invited. We reach out to the community. It's just not my group. It should be our group.
We'll
Yeah,
put
and
it
see
in
if
the, we'll put it in the bulletin. Go ahead, Sarah.
see if you can add an aging life care manager to your panel of experts, because we actually have quite a bit of solo agers. We used to call them orphaned agers, but the more appropriate word now is solo ager. It's either they never had children,
Mhm.
or they are estranged from their families for whatever reason,
Yeah.
but we have a lot of older adults, and that care manager is not, that daily hands-on or companionship. It's that third party advocate,
Yeah.
because if the senior has nobody to advocate or make decisions on their behalf, with
We have
capacity.
a, we
Care
have an
manager.
amazing resource for that, Sarah Zeff Gaber, and she is a solo ager. She's written books and she's our resource for that. And Michelin, I'll remind you of that because that would be a really good resource. Okay, Lynn, you had a question?
Oh, no, I just wanted to thank you for coming in. I'm hoping to get in touch. Where are you located, Sarah?
San Diego.
Oh, in San Diego. Okay. If we ever go down there, we went for last year, our broker conference. We'll connect then. But what you said really resonated, how we do have a duty to care for this generation. And I think what we need is a lot of patience. And that's something that, like when you're sitting next to them going through disclosures, I spent like maybe 4 or 5 hours, like 4 times the time that I would normally with, because they need that, right? With somebody who's 80 years old and selling their home. So
They
yeah.
need it, and sometimes they'll extend it. They're lonely. We have seniors across our country that literally see nobody
Yeah.
for months and months and months and months. And what happens? That's isolation. Isolation leads to depression. Depression manifests physically in the body. That situation, if they can't afford care in the home, well, then maybe they do need to sell the house and they need to move into a community environment. Because
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Yeah, I
So
know a
real
lot of them.
quickly, oh, go ahead.
A lot of when they get spam calls, they'll keep the caller on for hours just to talk to them.
I've
And
seen
let's hope to God
90-year-old
it's not elder abuse, because the ones that are isolated tend to be the ones that are being victims to
That's
that.
right.
Sarah,
And
that is my biggest concern, is isolation that turns into elder abuse, et cetera. And I love nice communities where they get the nutrition and they get the socialization. And speaking of care managers, do you know Amy Cameron O'Rourke, who wrote the book, The Fragile Years?
No.
She was president of that Life Care Association
Okay.
at some point. She's super sharp. She's coming to our conference in Tampa, April 7th through the 10th. She's going to speak on the 8th. And so this is a conference we're trying to get the word out.
Yeah, I
about this
put the
conference.
conference in the bulletin, so all the information is there, the dates and access to getting registered. It's in the bulletin on the last page. So, and real quickly, the Connecting Elders, that's your website, right?
ConnectOurElders.com.
Right, okay. I think I want to take, we'll set up a separate appointment to talk more about that, because I think the marketing that you do for that, we can integrate.
Right. So there's
Right.
Connect Our Elders, and then
Yeah.
there's seniorcaresales.com.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you know Sandra Sam Craddock in San Diego that does the living room videos and also More Than Heart?
No.
She's gone viral with her just very real, authentic videos, and she's coming from San Diego to Tampa to go to our conference as well. So I hope to speak to you soon and tell you a little bit more about that.
I'd love to promote it. Anything you guys want promoted, send it to me. I'll push it out.
Okay, speaking of promotions, just one quick last minute push. Tomorrow starts the beginning of my SRES course, 2 days, and it's through CAR. You can take it at a reduced price for a refresher, and tell your colleagues about it. And there's still time to sign up. So I only do these twice a year, so this is the one for the winter.
So Sarah, we're always telling people, for us realtors, we're like, everybody who's a realtor, if you have any realtor colleagues that are not SRES yet, that they need to get their SRES and just do it. Don't ask me any questions right now. Just do it and then we'll talk about it.
That somebody send me some information on getting a real estate license, because I'm assuming that you have to get your regular license before you can even get the SRES,
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
and I'll
and
help you out with that. I'll help
Yeah.
you out with that.
Okay.
We
My
can
next
totally
career.
get you totally taken care of, Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. All right.
Any excuse to visit and, okay, I totally appreciate it. This has been great. This is just the beginning. It's gonna be so much more. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.
All right,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, on page 4 of the bulletin is all the information about the LEAP conference in Tampa in April. And now I'm having a blank on what else I put in the bulletin, but review the bulletin because I got lots of good stuff in there. Oh
Well-
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, you really do a great job finding awesome people, Julie. And so it's very impressive. And yeah, I really do need help promoting this. And we've got amazing people coming that will really make a difference for those that attend. I also have oh my gosh, Downsize Columbus coming, and she's kind of figured out her own way of doing things, and she's got a lot of resources. So our theme this year is financially thrive in 2025. And so what we're wanting to do is help people understand all the different opportunities for different streams of income, but also creating a business that you can sell. And Amy Cameron O'Rourke, who wrote The Fragile Years, she had like 3 different streams of business under one roof. And a few years ago, she sold 2 of the 3, and she kept the third, ran with that, grew it, and she's going to have more to tell us. So she's one that can really help educate people on that. And then Real Estate Star Power, the CEO and founder, Amy Stair, she knows all about growing real estate businesses and exit strategies for realtors. She's going to be there. And then why can I not think of Kathy Cairo of Downsize Columbus, and she's got an exit plan herself and a lot of ahas about how to do the senior stuff at a high level. So we've got some really great opportunity. And then Sam from San Diego coming, who has gone viral with her videos.
Catherine, can you send me a flyer that I can use as a slide for my class to put in there?
Yes. Yeah.
Wooden slide
Sure
would be
can.
good. Thanks.
Yeah, sure can. Okay.
I'm looking forward to this whole new batch that's coming tomorrow and the next day. And we're just gonna add to hopefully they'll be national in nature, but we do get mostly California. What do you think, Skip?
Yeah, primarily it is. We charge less for the CAR members than we do for the other ones, unless they're repeat offenders, and then everybody gets the $99 discount. And just so you know, I wouldn't recommend this, but well, I guess Sarah fell off, but she could take the class now, but not get the designation. But it'd probably be better if she got her real estate license first and then get the SRES.
Yeah, we'll get her situated.
Yeah.
We'll get her situated. It's probably, in,
Yeah.
cause Catherine, you're in Kansas. The rest of us here are still California, but your association is NAR. And so we have reciprocity, just automatically, right? Especially for referral business.
Oh, yeah. Well, you just need to be licensed. You don't even need to be NAR. But yeah, for referrals,
So is it DRE? Then that's the ruling, the state? And not NAR or CAR? So
Oh,
you're
I'm not
talking-
required to be a member. You're not.
to receive referral fees?
Yeah,
Oh, you just have to be
Yeah,
licensed.
you
Oh,
just have
okay.
to be a real estate agent.
okay.
Has nothing to do with NAR whatsoever.
Or
And I
car.
don't look at myself as being Kansas. I'm in all 50 states. I'm nationwide.
Nationwide.
Mhm. 'Cause I
That's
get
what I've
asked
been
that all the
telling people.
time. I
Like
get asked that all the
yourself.
time. It's like I'm literally working in all 50 states.
Yeah, amazing. All right, anybody have any questions? Anything? We have an office listing that's suitable for a residential assisted living. So I've been working on that. And I have a couple other I have another client who's running out of money, and so I have to help out with that. I mean, talk about what we were talking about. They called me and they said, my mom's running out of money. What are we gonna do? And they're in Nevada, so I got my work cut out for me for there. So,
But she has a house to sell in Nevada.
no, she already sold the house and she's in senior living, and the money that was set aside to support her in where she lives now is dwindling down because they didn't make an accurate plan for her to for her lifespan. She's past 90 now. So, 8 years ago when they did this, they didn't amortize properly, and they didn't listen to me either.
Mhm.
So now I get to help fix it, but that's okay. It's just part of what we do.
So
So,
is she going to run out of money and need to be on like a Medicaid?
well, so I have the family bringing me some numbers, and I'm going to make some recommendations after I see the numbers. And my first order of business was you find out every single subsidized senior living apartment in your county or your region, and you get her name on the waiting list right now.
A
'Cause-
good care manager or someone that works
Yeah.
in the senior healthcare
That,
area
yeah,
can pull strings too if they're
Yeah.
working with that. So that's really an important thing, is to find maybe not so much the communities, but find a friend that can navigate that to help her get into a good place if she's going to run out of money.
yeah, definitely.
Um,
And fortunately, I am pretty well connected in the area that they're in. And we even have one of our member colleagues is there. And so she's a really good resource to reach out to. And so, yeah, that's what's going on. Lynn, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you, Julie?
Well, it's crazy.
I
Um,
know, I know. I think I told you guys, right, a couple weeks ago, one of my listings was broken into.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we put it back together again, and it's actually an elderly. My clients are in their 80s, and this was a project that he had for 10 years. That he was their second home. They love ballroom dancing. It's a 4,700 square foot home with beautiful views, and the whole house was like, let's just say it was in an uproar, beer bottles everywhere, poker chips everywhere. And I was like, how in the world am I going to tell my clients? And, I just said, unfortunately, we have a trend with, so if you guys have these type of listings that look beautiful online and they're vacant, please be careful, because the youth are targeting those, and they're posting on social media and saying, come for the party. They're even charging for them. They find a way to get in. And now that we've had experience, we've had other people tell us they've had the same experience as well. And just working with, the neighbors, the police, and everything else. But the good news is, after 2 weeks of finding out that horrible thing happened to my listing, it's all well put back together, and somebody wants to make an offer on it. And, I was there, for the client. I met them, when she came and her son flew into town. At the door, her husband, unfortunately, I think I mentioned, was in a memory care, and he cracked his skull. And anyway, just sorry to get into that. It's just like, I can't deal with it. I give you authority, but it's just kind of like bring that calm, like, you know what? Horrible things happen, but we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And the first thing, I showed up at the door when her son flew into town, and I said, I am so sorry that this has happened to you. And they're like, you know what? We don't want you to even feel bad about it. These things happen, and we just, have to move on. So anyway, sorry to go off on a tangent. That wasn't so positive, but I think the
Where
positive.
was that house at?
What's that?
Where was that listing at? Where is it at?
Do you know where Mount Hamilton, Three Springs Ranch? It's a gated community.
Oh.
Believe it or not, they found the numbers, got into the community and broke into this house, and there's like 2 gates. Yeah. It's a
Is it because they saw that it was vacant online, because the pictures? Okay.
they saw the beautiful photos, because
That
we're
the
on
rooms were
World
empty.
Premiere Showcase. They
Yeah.
saw the views, and the coincidental thing is there was another young man who was not in this community. He was up on the hill, but he saw all these kids coming, and he saw posted on social media this party. Like literally everyone knew about the party except for me.
Holy
And
moly.
he came down and said, the police has been notified. If I were you guys, you should go out. And they were like taking Ubers out, because if they had all that alcohol to drink, that's a very dangerous road to be driving
Wow.
up
Okay,
there.
so the pictures online showed that the rooms were empty because there's no furniture.
Yes, it's
So-
all staged. Well, it's all staged. There were furniture.
It was staged.
It
So
was-
there was furniture in there.
There was staged, but you could kind of tell the difference between stage furniture versus a homeowner's furniture.
Wow.
So it was, yeah, it was gorgeous. And the majority of the property damage, unfortunately, was the stagers. But the good news in all of this is I went and I talked to all of the neighbors, got to know them. A lot of them were also seniors, so if anything, it's like good contacts, right, for the future, because it just shows us as caring, and also being like, okay, if the next buyer comes, now that we know that you've loved this community for 30 to 40 years, can we introduce them to you? And then you can tell them how wonderful it is to live here.
Mhm.
And by the way, you guys should probably get a camera, security camera in the gate as people are coming in. Because
Yes.
I said, can you guys change the gate codes? They said it is a logistical nightmare to change those gate codes, because there's like over 30 people living in this, like these huge homes, there are lots of acreage between them, but it's all gated. But they have delivery trucks coming in, gardeners, vendors, like it's hard for them to control that. So it's just like getting together as a community, really talking. And 2 of the neighbors actually saw this all going on, and they called the police, but it took the police 2 hours to show up there, because I guess they have other more important things happening than
So
kids getting into a vacant home.
So the party host and the party goers, they were using the gate code to get in.
Yeah, they were using the gate. They missed a pound, so they ended up breaking the main gate and going in somehow. But someone's like, yeah, she saw all these kids coming. She's like, it was like Armageddon. Little, like they were scared. They called the police, and
It
but
seems
anyway.
like that'd be hard to get away with. That, Lynn, that would be a really good video topic if you make videos, like,
Well, okay, so the beauty of this whole thing, as this was happening, the LA fires was happening, there was somebody displaced from the fire, and my seller's son, this, he's like a Harvard Law School grad, and they have him in charge of all this because, it's like this is too much for an 80-year-old couple to handle.
yeah,
Fortunately, they had a trustworthy son. He had a acquaintance in LA who was displaced from the fire and needed a place to house it. So guess what? She's there. She's a musician and an artist, and she loves it, the views. And so it's just like, I'm like, you need to start a business of house sitting these
Yeah.
vacant homes, because if this is going to be a trend, people would love to have their house, with somebody there. So to just, be
with all the fires, it would seem like that inventory is going to get all gobbled up. Is that where you in LA?
So we're in Northern California, but we are going to be affected by what's going on in Southern California right now. And our associations and the DRE, we are working together to mitigate that whole situation. So it's about 15,000 struck homes, never mind businesses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that it's a huge endeavor. What a great idea though, Lin, to have somebody come up from Southern California that
Yeah.
needs a roof over their head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't take credit. My seller did all of that. But I do have, sorry, I have another meeting to run to a minute, but nice meeting you, Catherine. Good
Nice
for
meeting
you
you,
to
Lynn.
get on TV. Where are you located?
I am in Wichita, Kansas, and so I've been on PBS Kansas for over 6 years, and it's almost the whole state. And now I'm doing the local ABC, which again is almost statewide. And so what I'm doing, I'm really experimenting with media and trying to figure out how to unlock this.
Yeah.
And then Julie, I was going to share with you about your residential assisted living appropriate listing, that those can be marketed nationwide and not just local.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so there's
Several outlets for that national.
Good deal.
But yes,
Okay.
you're right, because, and if you have outlets that I don't know about, you text them to me or something.
So Julie, sorry, two quick things, because I live and die by Google Calendar, and I wanted to see, is this Zoom room link for all of 2025, or is it just different every week?
It would be the same.
It's the same.
Oh, it's the same. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one from last year and then it changed and I had in my calendar and I couldn't get into a couple of meetings. And so now that I know.
Well, I always put a fresh link up following the bulletin.
Oh, so every single week you put
Every
You gotta
Monday when I
scroll-
send the
you-
bulletin out, the
You
bulletin.
gotta
and
scroll
below
down to find it, so. it's
Yeah.
That's how I got on today.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, because I use a calendar invite. So in other words, when I
Yeah.
send an email, I'll just drop in the link. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Skip, thank you for being here because I went to your class last year and I still don't have that little logo or whatever it is for your email signature. So how do I get the series, like, I don't know.
Are you talking about the SRES logo like you're? seeing on the
Correct.
screen
Yeah,
now?
to put into our email.
All right, you have to go into the SRES website, for the
Okay.
members.
Okay.
And then you'll go over to, I believe it's to the right where it says About Us. And in the pull down, it'll have trademark. And you can click on that. You can there's different ones. There's black and white ones in different sizes and shapes and all that. And you can just copy it from there. And they give you the guidelines for using the logo then too.
Okay, thank you. So is it just series.org or how do I get on the
Lynn,
website?
I'll send you some specific instructions to get on our portal.
I'm so sorry.
No
Okay,
worries.
well, thank you so much. Nice meeting you, Catherine. Thank you, Skip. Thank you, Julie, as usual.
Thank you guys. Thank you,
you.
Catherine. I'm
Okay.
so excited.
Thanks,
We're gonna
Julie.
go.
Yes,
And,
yeah.
yeah, I'll see you guys.
Lynn,
online.
I just found her on LinkedIn, so I'll connect with her on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Whew, okay.
See you
Okay.
later.
All right.
All right, Julie, good job. How did you find Sarah?
On LinkedIn, I'll tell you, 6 degrees from separation and Sundays. But it's
Cool.
all connected. It's wonderful. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Julie.
All right, you guys. See you later. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.